art show, and it takes sort of a while to get used to and to get into it, sort of get the feel it's going for. But once you do, it's really wonderful. It's a lot of fun. Cowboy Bebop and Wolf's Rain. I'm sorry, I couldn't choose between these shows. They were pretty much done by the same people. I'm sorry, I know that's a cop-out, but I like both these shows. I'll talk about Cowboy Bebop real fast. Cowboy Bebop, I really like. The main characters are great. It's anime, but it's very Americanized. I hate to sound like an American prick, you know, it's like, make it more like what I'm used to, but they do, but they actually do it better than what we do. So I think it's okay. I think they improve on what we usually do, because it is episodic, but there is sort of a continuing story, and it does match up near the end, and it's very clever, because you can watch these episodes individually, but the story that's going on under it, you know, this underlying story, is all about coming back to it, and you can't run away, you have to face it and stuff. So it actually makes sense that, you know, it be sort of to the side, because the character's trying to run away from it anyway. So it's very smart that way. The characters are all great. Spike's the great jackass. Well, he's a bit of a jackass, but he's the great, you know, sort of badass rogue character, but he can also be very, very pathetic and very feminine. Actually, I find very interesting. If they ever, you ever see how he moves? It's more like a ballerina that is like, you know, a typical badass character. So I find that very interesting. Jack, with Jet Black, is that his name? I think it's Jet. Anyway, he's great because he's much more built like the traditional, you know, superhero. He's got all the muscles and the sideburns and stuff like that, but he's actually very sensitive and doesn't always know where to go and what to do. Faye is just a great lost character trying to find her way, or not trying to find her way, just trying to be, you know, certain about something, which is great. Ed, I think, is one of the greatest characters ever created. I just love characters that are batshit insane, but are so confident, so happy where they are, and just enjoy every second of life. I love those kind of characters. So that's Cowboy Bebop. I love it. Perfect beginning to end. Wolf's Rain, I really like, though, I'll have to admit, I get really depressed watching it. It's one of the few things, there's few things that I can't watch because they just get me too friggin' sad. And this is actually that show. It's a weird show to, I can watch Grave of the Fireflies. Okay, I can watch Schindler's List, fine. And they're good movies, but I mean, I can get through them fine, not shedding a tear at all. I get really sad when one of the characters dies in Wolf's Rain. I'm not gonna say who. I can't say without giving something away. It's a scene where a character walks very slowly. That's all I'll say while they're dying. So that scene fucked me up. I think that was my Bambi's mom or whatever, because that really, really messed with me. I don't know why. I just felt really bad when that character died. But the show just really brings on, you know, sort of this depression and this unpleasantness, but they're always looking for something. There's that hope, there's that paradise they're looking for. And they're, you know, this world it creates, and it is this very sort of uncomfortable world, but you want to get through it. You want to go with these characters. You really want to see these characters get through it. I think that's where the real strength is, that you want to see these characters survive, and it breaks your heart whenever one dies. Not that anyone dies in the show. When any of them, you know, whatever, get shot or pass away or something like that, I mean, it destroys you. It really crushes you. And that's a sign that the show's doing a good job. I mean, because like I said, I don't get teary-eyed at many things. I really don't. And I got really friggin' sad when that one character died. So don't ruin it if people haven't seen it yet. You know, don't say who it is. So, yeah, and the ending, everybody talks about the ending. I have my thought about what it is, because a lot of people got pissed off at the ending, say, oh, they went the David Lynch route, it makes no sense. I sort of thought that at first too, and I was sort of talking with my brother about it, about what it could mean and stuff, and there's some fun ideas in there. I think it works well enough. I especially like that eye in the water. I think that's really clever, but I don't think that gives anything away. So, okay, that's that choice. Love those two shows. Next one. Batman the Animated Series. Again, I talked forever about this show. I mean, everybody knows why I like this show. I mean, everybody knows what's great about it. The artwork is great. The characters are great. Batman, this is one of the best Batmans ever. I mean, the voice is fantastic. The conflicts he has are fantastic. The villains, good God, they seem like real people. I mean, they just seem alive. And I love seeing them over and over. I love seeing them interact with one another. What the hell else can I say about this show? I've talked about it so much. I guess I can say that I see people constantly trying to recreate it, even the same creative team. They're trying to do these Batman anime movies, you know, to DVD. I guess a lot of these shows are trying to create it. And you can definitely see what impact it's had on these shows. I don't think they've ever matched it. Some things have gotten better. I think they've really tried to up the dark, and but they almost feel forced. It almost seems like, well, this is going to go really dark, but it's not needed. And they do it fine, but it's for a story where it's like, no, you don't need to do that. I can't think of anything in particular because I don't really watch that many Saturday morning cartoons, but it's like the few times I have seen them or I have clicked by or like Batman Beyond. That's a great example. It's not a bad show, but it's so obviously trying to recreate what the animated series did while trying to do something different. And I don't think they meshed. And I don't think it should have had the Batman name. I don't see that as Batman. I see that as something totally different. And it seems like everybody's trying to do that. Like, these are shows that shouldn't... I don't know. There's something that Batman created that was unique to that series. And sometimes it could get corny, and you know, and they would go sometimes over the top, either over the top goofy or over the top dark as well. I'm not going to say it didn't. But most of the time they found that line, that perfect line. And it seems like they were doing that to try and create what Batman was and trying to show what Batman was. It seems like everybody's just trying to copy that now instead of trying to do their own thing. Even though they're adding their own flares and their own spins on things, it seems like everybody's trying to copy that, except maybe up the dark and up the violence and up because we're adult, you know, and our audience is growing up, so we have to make it, you know, even darker. And I think that show found the perfect mix, because both kids and adults could watch it, could enjoy it, and could understand it. They could understand, you know, sort of the themes and the emotions. I think that's it. They can all understand the emotions. That show got the emotions so well of these characters. And I think that's what they hit, and they got down beautifully. And I think all these other shows and spin-off movies and stuff, they're trying to recreate that, and they shouldn't try to recreate anything, they should just let it flow naturally. But again, I'm talking like I really watch a lot of these movies, you know, and these straight to DVDs. I really don't. I've seen one or two, and the one or two I've seen sort of had that feel to it. Maybe there's some that do just do their own thing, but they all sort of look like Batman to me, like a mix of Batman and anime. So, yeah, like I said a million times, I love this show. I think it's a brilliant show, and I've talked about it to death, so I'll just go on to the next one. Red Dwarf. This is a show I watched over and over and over as a kid. Again, it's the interactions of these characters, mostly Lister and Rimmer, these two polar opposites that are stuck on the spaceship. This setup is so wonderfully over the top and wonderfully silly, but also very sci-fi as well. That this guy gets stuck in stasis. He's supposed to be in there only for like a week or something, and he's cryogenically frozen. And then the stasis leak happens, and everybody gets wiped out, and the computer can't release him until 3 million years later. And so he wakes up 3 million years later in deep space, and now he's trying to get back home. And you know, there's assumptions that the human race probably didn't survive, you know, and that there's nobody left, and he's the only one left. And of course, he's a slob, he's a schmuck, he's this lazy bum, and loves every minute of it. But then you also have these side characters. One's a hologram of his dead bunkmate, one's an android, one's this creature that evolved from his cat over the 3 million years, and they have some good mocks at evolution and religion and stuff like that. And, well, okay, a lot of you have seen this show. If you haven't, check it out. It's wonderful. But it's it's just the interactions that these characters have and the weird things they come across, and it gets so cartoony sometimes. But they already set up this is kind of the world they're setting up, that, you know, things have evolved and gotten sillier, or de-evolved, whatever you want to say. And it's just going on forever. I mean, the show, it's got to be one of the longest running shows in Britain, if not the longest running. I don't know, but, I mean, because most seasons of Britain television are like, whatever, like 25 episodes, something like that. So, and this has got to be like in their 80s or something. I mean, it started in the 80s, and it's still sort of going. They did like this little movie recently called Back in the Red, which I like, by the way. Ending's a bit of a cop-out, but okay, I'm on to something else. I really like the show because I grew up with it. It was enjoyably silly. It had some really smart ideas in terms of sci-fi, but also combining it with just pure British comedy cheese, you know, which is so great. And it really is just those two characters. Everyone else is fine. They're good. I mean, they're good characters. It's these two and the way they interact off each other that really made the show really strong and just so funny. And it's a really great show. I think I might shout it a lot when I watch it, but it still holds up. These are still great ideas. It really captures that loneliness. It really captures the size of it, too. I mean, these are obviously very sort of fake sets and fake effects, but for whatever reason, it's like the way they write it and the way they have the pacing, it feels real. It looks fake, but it feels real. And when you can do that with a show or a movie or anything, when you're looking at something that obviously isn't there, but it feels genuine, you're doing something really good and really strong and really special.